All right, friends, tonight we're starting out in a child's pose, and I want to recommend or experiment maybe with something a little different than what I would normally do. Try taking your toes together and your knees pretty wide, and we'll take a wide knee child's pose to start. Think of sitting your hips back on your toes, and then you can start to walk your hands out here, taking your time. You might rest for a while with your elbows on the floor, head hanging down. Just allowing your low back to release, okay? Allowing the hips to kind of soften, and then maybe you come all the way down with your forehead. And let's take some time just breathing right here. Big inhales into your big rib cage. And big exhales, pulling your belly button into your spine. Let the breath be long and slow, and let it make a big sound in your ears. With each breath, see if you could just soften your body a little bit more. Think of melting your chest and your hips and your belly to the ground. From here, just to get a little bit more into your low back and lengthen that spine, you might decide to look at your hands. Okay, keep the shoulders long away from your ears, but you might look a little bit at your hands and keep that spine nice and long. For your next few breaths here, if you feel particularly comfortable and open, you can bend your elbows and join your fingers up off of the floor. And keep that neck long for a little more of a nice neck stretch and shoulder and armpit opener. Okay, from here we'll take a side stretch. So you can take your hands out front if they were up and walk your hands over to the right. Okay, creating a big stretch in your left side and thinking of moving your hips over to the left. Breathe deeply into that left side. And then walk your hands through center and over to the left. Take some time over here. Okay, as you ground your hands, ground your head, think of moving your hips to the right. Big spaciousness in the right side. Bring the hands back to center here. Pull yourself up to hands and knees. And then you'll need to bring your knees a little closer in to make this more of a normal hands and knees position. And we'll take some cat-cows from here. So grip the mat with your hands, pull those elbows inward, and then lift your belly. We're gonna pull the heart forward with the hands really pulling back. Take a big breath in as you do that. Think of spreading open your rib cage. Okay, with your exhale, push the floor away, round your spine, hang your head. And we'll take a few more rounds of cat-cow, just like that. Inhale, pull your heart forward, pull back on your hands. And exhale, push the floor away. So think of really moving your spine in all directions, rounding it. And then roll into the sides a few times, side body. Rolling into the other side. Okay, I like to think of moving the spine kind of like a jump rope here. Jump roping it in all directions. See if you could find some spots that you didn't even know needed attention. And if you take it in one direction, make sure you jump rope it in the other. Okay, nice and slow. Go ahead and find your way back to center. A lot of nice mobility in that spine. And let's get more into your right hip. So the right knee up, we can start to circle it out. First of all, just drawing little circles on the ground with that right knee. So keeping the right hip kind of low and internally rotating. Notice what muscles this obliges you to use in your right outer hip. And rewind it. Circles on the ground. And now let's make these really big. So pick up the right hip, open it up, draw big circles to the right, all the way around. And let's rewind that big circle. Okay, next time that right knee comes forward, pause it right there. Go ahead and plant your right foot outside your right hand. And take a moment here in your low lunge to set yourself up. So maybe you come up on your fingertips to give yourself more space. Okay, and you can think of moving the left knee back a little bit if you want the hips to hang lower. You can pad the left knee with a pillow. Okay, or you can move the left knee closer if you need to back out of this. But try not to let your right knee pass up its own ankle. So settle down into your lunge, and we'll get a little twisty from here. Dropping into that left hand, use the right hand on your right knee just to turn out to the right and look out in that direction. Take some time here. Okay, remember to gently press the legs into the floor here. So the legs are slightly active. They're not cranking or straining, but they're slightly active on the floor. And we'll get the right arm up and open here, spreading open your chest. So take some big breaths here with me. I'd like to add a little movement here, okay, in that right shoulder. So keep your legs firmly pushing down. Keep your chest big and open, and try to isolate a shoulder rotation of that right shoulder. Circling the right hand, make a big circle. Okay, feel the shoulder waking up. Big range of motion. And let's rewind it. All right, next time you're reaching up, pause there. Okay, engage your core a little bit and then lift up on those left fingertips. Come all the way up to a twisted lunge. So you're looking out to the left. And let's hold and breathe right here. If you need to come down, you can. And if you need to use the right leg for a prop, you can do that too. But wherever you are, start looking at that backhand. Big breath in your twist. Wringing out your spine here. Pushing that floor means you release a little bit in the hips. One more big breath here in your low lunge, just twisting your spine. And then come on out nice and slow, dropping that left hand back to the floor under your left shoulder. Right hand back to the floor under your right shoulder. Okay, and let's bring it back to hands and knees from here. Stand all the way back with the right foot. Tuck your toes here, lift your hips, and walk your hands back to your feet. Let's fold for a little bit. Shake your head. Sway side to side. Okay, notice the backs of the legs. If they're tense, you can fold your knees really deeply. You can really bend them. Okay, but you want to think of your shoulders being kind of close to where your knees are. You're that folded. And of course, your head is hanging and there's no tension in it at all. Okay, from here, walk your hands forward, back to hands and knees, and we'll meet there. So let's do the same thing on the other side. We'll get the left knee up, okay? And then draw circles on the floor with the left knee. So that means you're keeping the hip low and internally rotated for now. Draw a big circle with that knee. And then let's rewind it. Left hip. Okay, now let's make the circle bigger. Open it up. Lift the left hip. Circle in all the directions. Notice how both hips are really active when you lift it up. Okay, rewind that. And the next time that left knee points forward, pause, step the left foot outside your left hand, and take a moment to set up your lunge. You could come up on your fingertips. Okay, kind of makes life easier while you're settling in. And then make sure you have the right knee in just the right place for you. Okay, you're gonna wanna maybe pat it if it's sensitive. Okay, and then once you're feeling pretty settled in, we're going to twist it. So ground into that right hand, reach up with your left. And just hold and breathe right here. Looking out to the left. You can use the left hand on the left knee for a little prop if you want to. Sometimes it's nice to push on the knee a little bit. Okay, you kind of decide how you want it to feel. But keep some strength in the legs here. And keep some space in your chest. You want a really big, broad chest here. So breathing deeply in this twist, you have your longest spine, you have very strong legs, and you may decide here to call in a little bit of core strength. Go ahead and lift up on your right fingertips, all the way up to, okay, a more upright lunge. Open your arms, maybe look behind you. Keep breathing. Strong legs. So broad in the chest, strong in the legs. Maybe one more big breath here in your twisted low lunge. And then we're letting it go. Drop the hands down under your shoulders here, nice and slow. Let's bring it back to hands and knees and pull the left knee back. Okay, and then bring it up to a forward fold from here. So tuck your toes, lift your knees, and again, walk your hands back to your feet. Okay, you have an option here. Maybe you want to reach your hands behind your back. You can interlace your fingers and move your hands away from your heart. Think of drawing the shoulder blades down your back. Breathe here. Feel free to bend your knees. Let your head really hang. So we're trying to invite some spaciousness and length into your back as it hangs here. And also into the backs of your legs as they open up in relation to the floor. Go ahead and release your hands if you join them and take them back to the floor. Walk it forward to hands and knees again. And right here in your hands and knees, just take a moment to step your hands wide, step your knees wide, and circle it out. Just some big, kind of silly circles, moving your joints. And take it back around the other way. All right, and then pause here. Just gonna pause back at center. Step your knees back underneath your hips. And then we'll take the left knee back. Go ahead and point the left knee back behind you. And then cross it over to the right and set it down. So you've just crossed your thighs and your right thigh is closer to you. Okay, from here, see if you can walk your hands back. Take your time, nice and slow. And eventually sit back between your feet. Okay, so you're sitting between your 2 feet and you can lean back if it's a bit much and you just need a little more gentle of a posture, okay? So get yourself there some kind of way. I'm just gonna turn to face you a little better. And then sit down between those feet, okay? And you wanna make sure the right hip is on the floor and you'll have to put a little extra firmness into it. So remember, lean back at any time to back out. But if you're feeling pretty good, go ahead and sit up nice and tall. Close your eyes and just be in this posture for a moment. So you can use your fingers beside you, just wherever you want them. But remember that one of your priorities is to have a really long spine. So do your best with that. And then when you feel settled in, start to push your legs against the floor. So both legs will push down very gently. And you could stay right here, just long spine and gentle push down and keep breathing. Okay, or you can move a little more deeply into it if you want by folding forward, walking your fingers forward. Take your time, close your eyes. When I'm here in this posture, I'm thinking long spine, inhale. Push the legs into the floor on the exhale. The fold just happens naturally, okay? Just keep thinking long spine, inhale. Push the legs into the floor, exhale. Okay, if you do fold and you allow your upper body to kind of drape over your lower body, keep your neck long. Continue with that breath and that movement, or that action of long spine, inhale. Push the legs into the floor as you exhale. Okay, take your time coming up and out of this. You can start walking your hands back by your hips, but there's no rush, none at all. All right, once you're up in a seat, think about kind of rolling your weight forward and coming back onto hands and knees. Okay, it's kind of a tricky thing, and if it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. But then you'll just take your knees back to normal, hands and knees uncrossed, and then switch sides. Right knee points back, right knee points to the left, and then just set it down. So now your thighs are crossed and the left thigh is closer to you, and you can just walk your hips back and sit them down between your feet. So take your time with that. Sometimes you have to do a little fidgeting, and I'll turn to face you a little bit. Okay. I like to think of sitting my hips up, getting the knees close, and then sitting down. But you kind of find your own system. So notice the left hip tends to want to be up. So you have to firmly press it down to keep it even with the right. And then remember to lean back if you need, just to escape from the posture for a bit. It can be really intense in your hips. So be compassionate and be patient with yourself. Okay, from here, we have a long spine, of course, as always, and we're starting to activate the legs into the floor. We're thinking of pushing down, pushing the floor away. Close your eyes and just breathe. Don't worry about how long you've been doing it. Don't worry about how much longer we'll be doing it either. Just think about how it feels right now and breathe. If you want more release, okay, if you want more sensation, if it feels good, you can push the legs into the floor, start to lengthen the spine on the inhale, pulling those shoulders back, and push the floor away from you on your exhale. Think of pushing down into your legs. Long spine, inhale. Push the floor down, exhale. Remember, it's fine to round your spine if you want to. It's got to round, to fold. However, keep a sense almost of a back bend in your rounding by keeping the shoulders away from your ears, keeping that spine long, the neck especially. Okay, great posture here for opening up space around your hips and your low back, spreading open the whole back body. Okay, take your time coming up and out of this one. You can even take a whole extra breath, there's no rush. But start to walk yourself out with your hands coming all the way back. This time, just walk your hands far back enough that you could extend your legs out in front of you. They're probably kind of noodly at this point, and you can just windshield wiper them. Just shaking it out. Okay, from here, next time your knees point up, just grab them and allow yourself to roll all the way down. Take a moment to squeeze both knees inward, pressing them out to the sides and back in, kind of rolling your low back out on the floor. Okay, getting those hips nice and soft. Let's take them in the opposite direction. Okay, from here, let's bring the knees back in and just pause them. Keep your right knee and extend your left leg out on the floor and just let it rest down there. And so now both hands can come to your right knee, either on the shin or behind the thigh. Okay, whichever one is better for your knee today. And you'll start to squeeze that knee in towards your heart. Give it a nice squeeze and hold and breathe right here. As you move the knee in towards your chest, the center of your chest, also lift your chest up towards your heart. So you're coming up to meet yourself halfway. Okay, take some time breathing here into the right hip and the right hip flexor. If the hip is feeling fine today and there's no tweaky or painful sensations, then you can add resistance, okay, and do some active stretching in that hip. You can start to move the knee against your hands as your hands pull in. So the knee tries to get away, the hands pull it in. And keep in mind, you don't have to add too much resistance at all for it to be quite effective. So play around with just the bare minimum maybe. From here, expand that knee a little bit. Just let it expand out away from you. And then see if you can take your right hand inside the right leg and just walk it up the shin. You can use both hands as well. And you might just take your left arm out to the left and just let it rest, holding that right leg on your right shin, okay? And then play around with extending the leg a little more and then bending it a little more. Just play with that hamstring, that right hamstring flexibility, noticing if it's tight. And if it's okay, you keep your hand here, or you can move your hand up to the outer edge of your right foot and grab the bottom of your foot. And from there, continue to play, extend and bend. Okay, keep that sense that the center of your chest is trying to move upward. Okay, and then next time you extend the knee as much as you want to. So this will be different for everyone and it will be different on the day. Some days your knee will want to extend fully. Okay, some days you'll want to have it bent. Both are good if they feel good. So extend the knee as much as you like and then just start to drop it slowly out to the right. Take your time, there's no rush. Can you bend it more on the way down? Absolutely. So just let that foot fall out to the right and then take a moment right there just to be. Think of lifting your chest up toward the ceiling here. Lift that heart nice and high. Keep in mind you can bend the right knee and you can even just grab the knee and gently press it down. And that's a nice little modification if it feels too much. Wherever you are, we'll take a few more breaths. Think of lifting that heart up, up, up. Okay, maybe just one more right here. I'll start to bring that leg back up and in through center. And let's keep the right leg. And you can bend it more or less as you start to feel like you want to, but we'll just switch hands. So now the left hand is coming to the right foot to hold it, or the right shin. You can do left hand to right shin, but the right arm is going to rest out on the right. So left hand now has the right leg. And just for starters, keep the right hip on the floor and just move your right foot a few inches to the left to get a nice IT band stretch. Hold here and breathe. That right hip still on the floor. All right, and then maybe you stay here with that IT band stretch, Or maybe you decide to take it all the way over into the full twist, allowing that right foot to drop over to the left. Okay, the right hip comes all the way up off the floor and you're looking out to the right. Can you bend the right knee and grab it? Absolutely. You can change that right leg in any way. As you lay here, remember that sense of lifting your heart. Try to do that right now. Lift your heart up as you breathe. Okay, allow yourself to come back through center here. Take your time. And then we'll release the right leg, let it go on the floor and rest. Switching sides, let's bring the left knee in now. You can interlace your fingers over the shin or behind the thigh. You decide. Either way, squeeze that knee toward the center of your chest and lift the center of your chest up toward your knee. And hold right here and breathe. So we're just kind of getting into that left hip here. Checking out the hip flexor and how it feels today. Notice if it feels different from the other side. Probably it does. If it's going well, you can think of pressing the knee into your hands as the hands pull it close, adding resistance. Maybe one more breath here with your hip flexor stretch, lower back opener, organ massage. And then let the knee expand a little bit. And then you could take the right arm out to the right. Just start walking that left hand up towards your left shin, okay, on the inside of the leg. And you could stay here on the shin for a while, just extending and bending that left knee. Okay, experimenting with the back of the left leg. How does it feel? Hamstring, calf. Okay, maybe you decide to walk your hand all the way up to the foot, and that's just a choice you make on the day, so just feel it out. Next time that leg extends just as much as you want it to, see if you just want to let it fall out to the left. Okay, now you may fall part of the way down and say, that's enough, and just stay right there, and that's totally fine. You could bend the knee, you just kind of feel it out, okay? But let that foot fall and then just breathe here and think of lifting that heart up to the ceiling, just like you did when you were hugging that knee. Lift the heart up. All right, we'll start bringing the leg back through center here. So we keep the same leg, right? But we switch hands. So now the right hand has that left foot. And keep your left hip on the ground at first. Just move the foot a little to the right, just like 2 inches to the right. And that's gonna get the outside of your left hip and your IT band to open up. So check that out for a moment. You can use the left arm on the left. All right, you can stick with this IT band stretch if this is good, or you can let the left foot fall all the way to the right into a twist. So now the left hip is up. Okay, you can bend the left knee or not. It's really up to you. Go ahead and look to the left and breathe deeply. In your twist, think of lifting your heart high. Maybe one more breath here in your twist. Massaging your spine, all your organs, recalibrating your back. And then bring that left leg up and in through center. And release it onto the floor. Let go here and find your resting posture. Let your breath just come softly and freely. And allow softness all over your body, just everything easy and free. Okay, while you're resting here, you might enjoy just stretching out your jaw. Take it nice and wide here. All right, you can take a lot of time just opening that jaw wide, okay? It's easy to forget, but your face is just a bunch of muscles and they do get tight. So soften your forehead, stretch out your jaw, and take some more time just being. Notice everything about your breath in this moment and how your body feels. Notice your thoughts with compassion. Notice everything happening right now. Allow yourself to be present and experience the moment as it happens. All right, friends, please keep resting just like this for as long as you can. The longer the better. Thanks so much for practicing with me.